Hi everyone, welcome to Little Rock, your Arkansas state capital. Now some of you know that aside from hosting this show, I also serve in the Arkansas House of Representatives. Now we are in session right now, so today I'm going to have to host the show from right here. I'm dressed a little bit differently, but hold on. This should look a little bit more familiar to you. So here we go. Welcome to Arkansas's Great Outdoors. Arkansas's Great Outdoors are national and international treasures. People come from all over to experience what we have right here in our own backyards. Now, one of the many areas in which we excel is trout fishing, especially with a fly rod. And one of the best in the business is Dwayne Hayda. Now, a few weeks ago, he took my wife Lee on her first ever fly fishing trip. Today, we'll talk to you about the basics of a wonderful way to spend some time on and in the water. We have world-renowned angler, Dwayne Hayda. Dwayne Hayda, not only a great angler, but also a great artist, and just an overall outdoorsman. I mean, you can catch, you can shoot, you can, if we ever had to go off the grid, you're the guy I want to go hang out with.
Okay. We'll feed the tribe anyway. Yeah.
Well, today we're going to talk about fly fishing, and a lot of folks who have, just done traditional spinning rod or bait caster and things like that. Fly fishing is very different. I mean, not only is the equipment different,
right,
but how we're fishing is different. So kind of walk us through kind of what a, quote, fly is.
Sure. The whole purpose behind fly fishing is not to use strange looking equipment compared to the conventional tackle, but it's a method of delivering a very weightless, very small, we fish some little tiny midge pupas today that are just, just specks. But the whole idea is there's tons of different types of foods in this river that can't be imitated with something that you can actually fish with a spinning rod. Yeah. So a fly rod does that well. To present a weightless fly in a very lifelike manner in the presentation to the fish. So it's, and it looks very intimidating at first. The cast is the main thing. Learn to cast. Most people work at it way too hard. Let the rod do the work. Timing is the issue. In a spin rod, you throw weight. In a fly rod, the timing allows the rod to move back and forth, and the line just travels, and that little weightless fly just kind of goes along for the ride. Generally, it's much smaller flies, much more finesse, a lot more fun. I mean, look at this. It's a 9-foot rod that weighs literally nothing.
Yeah.
And when you set the hook, even on small trout, I mean, it'll bend over, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a great way to fish, but many times it's the most effective way, because when they're eating on these tiny little things, they'll ignore everything but that. So if you're not matching the hatch, as we call it, and in that game of presenting the fly that looks like the food they're feeding on at that time, you may not catch any fish.
And then little bitty hooks can catch quite large fish.
A trout's mouth is very leathery, kind of like the skin on the bottom of your thumb. So if I buried that tiny little hook right into the flesh of your thumb and kept it there, it's going to stay.
Yeah.
And so you'd never hook a big largemouth probably with that, because they're real bony in the mouth. But the trout has a very fleshy mouth. So they're strong hooks, and that rod, as part of it being long and tapered like that, because it will bend and flex, and it's just a give and take. When he's pulling, let him pull. When he gives, you pull. If you're pulling while he's pulling, it's probably going to snap the line, or the hook will pop out or something like that. But
the first 30 minutes that I fish with Dwayne, I'm always still in bass mode. And so I'm casting like I've got a bait caster on, and usually the first couple of hook sets are, boom, and it snaps the line.
Slow
because
down,
that's the other thing, is this line is very, very thin.
We're fishing usually 3 to 4, maybe 5-pound tests, and you can land a very large trout with that. Again, it's the rod, the length, it's your shock absorber, it's a big spring. But there's also a lot of what we call hoop strings. When you bend that rod over, you can drag a car across the parking lot with it if you get the right, you're not going to do it with a fast movement, you'll snap the line. But a slow, steady pull, and there's a lot of strength in that rod that will land a big fish.
So what is it that draws you to this?
Moving water is just therapeutic. This is my happy place out here. And trout, they don't have to be big, just plentiful. And I think the art of fly fishing, there's so many aesthetics to it. As an artist, I relate to just the beauty of the cast and the gear, the flies, the beautiful feathers and all that. And then, of course, the skins and the colors and the iridescence of a trout flashing in the water when you hold him for a moment before you release him. That just, to an artist that's geared with a fish head, that just makes it all come together for me. So.
and there's something about being in the water.
Oh, yeah.
and
You're
just
connected
being
to it.
Yeah.
You know, I fish out of a canoe, fish out of a john boat some, but I think my fly fishing to me is done best when you're wading and stalking and you're part of the river and you're seeing them eyeball to eyeball and go at them like that.
That's
It's kind of like hunting and fishing combined, really, fly fishing. So it's a great sport.
It's a good way to look at it. Thank you.
You bet.
When Arkansas's Great Outdoors returns, we'll talk with Dwayne in another setting in which he is also world renowned, his art. Arkansas's Great Outdoors is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers, mow with an attitude, by Vexus Boats, by Visit Hot Springs, America's first resort, and by Certified Arkansas Bait Fish, the safe bait.
Where haven't we gone? What hasn't been done? What's still left to be discovered and possible beyond the horizon? How can we continue pushing limits, breaking boundaries, and leading the way? At Bad Boy, it's not just about finding the answers, it's about the pursuit. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
Probably what stood out the most was the fit finish.
Quality. The room and fishability, man, was just amazing.
Huge compartments, big deep live wells, storage everywhere.
It's just a smooth ride overall.
That was a way smoother ride than I thought it was going to be.
Like riding a rocket when you come out of the hole.
The thing I love about this boat the most is the handling, steering, and performance of this boat.
Awesome. Very good ride.
Thumbs up. Enjoyed it. You have to take a ride in it, see for yourself.
It's a new generation of boats that no one's ever seen before.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Arkansas's Great Outdoors. I've got Representative Stetson Painter with us from Mountain Home, and you've got a great looking hat.
Yes, thank you, and I like yours as well.
Well, it's the Arkansas's Great Outdoors official head attire. So
it's awesome.
And the name Stetson is iconic with great hats.
That is, and also iconic with the resort on the White River up there in my neck of the woods, up there in Mountain Home.
Well, and speaking of that, you've got great outdoors up there. A lot of folks come to Mountain Home, and you've also got a great story about your daughter and her first fish.
Yeah, so we got 2 lakes and 3 rivers up there, and also so that warm spell that we had back in January, I think one day it was about 72. So me and my little girl decided to go fishing, and so first time ever. So we loaded up. She had a pink Princess fishing pole, so I had my own pole out there. She wanted to put a worm on there and try it. We put a worm on there, threw it out there. First cast, instantly hit the water. Rainbow gets on it.
Boom.
So she's reeling it in real hard. She guides it in. That rainbow's about that big.
Yeah.
And she was tickle pink.
Oh yeah.
And that's the experience that you get up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's fun for all ages.
Yeah.
I asked her if she wanted to touch it. She said no. I said, I'll just touch it one time. She did. And she goes, ooh, that's slimy.
Yeah.
And we threw it back. But it's just a great experience that I'll never forget.
Yeah, and Mountain Home provides a lot of great experiences for aspiring outdoorsmen and experienced outdoorsmen. Yes. And it's also a huge economic boost for your area.
It is. Not only the boat industry's there, the manufacturing there as well, but also too, everybody comes from other parts of the state, all across the country, just to travel there and camp and fish and just have a great experience. And we go from a town of 14,000, 15,000 people to 60,000, 80,000 in the summertime because everybody's there.
Yeah.
So it's just a great experience. Great economic boost for the town and also the state.
That's great. Well, this show we've been featuring a lot from Dwayne Hayda, one of your buddies.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I wish my last name's Painter, and I could not even be a great artist like that guy. Just a great guy.
Well, that's a great segue to our next segment, because now we're going to feature one of the other things that Dwayne Hayda does exceptionally well. A few years ago, we did a show called American Fly Guide, and we had Dwayne Hayda on with us, and we went all over the country. But one of the cool things, not only did we get to learn about your expertise in fly fishing all over, but after we would shoot the show, at the end, we'd get out on the water, and Dwayne would do a watercolor painting, because Dwayne is an accomplished artist as well as an accomplished angler. That was so much fun to do.
It was a good time.
We are here now at Rivertown Gallery in Mountain Home, Arkansas, and this is a celebration of the art of Dwayne Hayda. This is really cool. Thanks for letting us come by.
This is where I get to showcase my work anyway, and it's what I do. It's what I love.
So a lot of time in the outdoors, but to be able to do things like this, also a lot of time in front of a canvas.
Well, one just fuels the inspiration for the other. So when I'm out, obviously like today, just seeing all the fish and the waters and the light and everything that kind of inspires, and then I have to come in and put it on canvas anyway, or on watercolor paper or whatever. So yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
It's a lifelong thing. I was that kid that was always drawing on the back of his, whatever anyway, and just doing lots of different sketches, and just turn my test over when I'm done, trying to draw a picture on it to impress my teacher anyway, so improve my grade. But no, it's a gift, and I've obviously worked hard at it. I didn't have any college or any art instruction until I went to college, and I took a basic drawing class, and it just kind of like, wow, so.
One of the great answers I've heard is that people will say, "Oh, how long did it take you to paint that?" And your answer is,
my lifetime.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth in that, because as you get better at it, obviously you should perfect your craft. And I've got my 10,000 hours in, but I'm always, my next painting's my best one, So I'm pretty rough on myself in some ways as far as my critiques. I want a standard of excellence in my work as much as I can, and so I'm always striving for making it better.
So if you're driving around the state of Arkansas and you see a license plate, the Game and Fish Commission, you did the rainbow trout?
I did. That was mine. Yeah, that was kind of a neat thing. They asked me to do that back, it's been several years ago.
I think
that thing's been retired or sold out or something anyway, from what I understand.
A lot of people also don't know, we're used to paintings, and framed paintings, but you come in here, I see Christmas ornaments. We have a checkerboard over here.
My art takes on many forms. I do a little bit of wood carving. Don't do as much as I used to, but I do a lot of replica art, fiberglass reproductions of fish, and that never really intended for it to be that big part of my business, but it's grown. People, again, I know fish, and I want to paint them very realistic. I want to match your fish. So I've kind of gained a reputation, and people have sought me out on that, so I'm doing more and more of those. They're fun to do. But I do a lot of painting, do a little bit of rod building, just anything that's, something I can do with my hands, and part of my inspiration. It's just a way that I kind of express myself anyway through my art.
So for everybody that gets into the outdoors, there's a way to help the outdoors come to you when you can't get outside, is by surrounding yourself with this and just kind of appreciating the art and the majesty of what we do outside.
Everything, like I said, the sport of fly fishing, but not just that. There's so much aesthetic beauty out there. People just learn to see. That's what it is. Take the time to see how light changes, the textures, the colors, all those things.
Dwayne's art has brought joy to enthusiasts from all over the country. Be sure to drop by Rivertown Gallery next time that you are in Mountain Home. Now, when Arkansas's Great Outdoors returns, we give you a casting lesson from the master teacher. Arkansas's Great Outdoors is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers, mow with an attitude, by Vexus Boats, by Visit Hot Springs, America's first resort, and by Certified Arkansas Bait Fish, the safe bait.
The best leaders don't just forge ahead.
Welcome back to Arkansas's Great Outdoors. Now, fly fishing can be a little intimidating at first. Right about the time you realize how amazing it is to be wading in the water, surrounded by nature, you then realize that casting a fly rod is a little bit different, which can be a little bit frustrating. So here's Dwayne with a great introductory lesson.
Well, if you're interested in getting in fly fishing, the fly cast is the main thing you need to learn, and it's really not difficult. It's actually one of the simplest forms of fishing that there is. You've got a long rod that is like a big spring, okay? So when that rod bends, there's some stored energy in it, and you release it, it's going to propel this line that's tapered forward, okay? So that kind of helps you a little bit. But if you'll notice, I'm not really working at it real hard. If you are, you're doing it wrong. So the thumb is up on top of the cork grip like this. You lift, make a back cast, push forward, make a forward cast. Pretty much that 10 and 2 that you've been told about or maybe seen in the river runs through it, that's pretty much true. You're coming back, you make a back cast, stop and wait, and then push a forward cast. The purpose of it is when you make the back cast and stop, that line unfurls in the air behind you, and that line will go like in a candy cane or J-hook shape, and when it stops, it actually, what we call, loads the rod, or the rod bends, see, like that. And that stored energy, then you're going to go forward and it'll lay that line out there nice and smooth. So let the, work with the rod, don't fight the rod. Just back cast, forward cast. It's all about your timing, back cast, forward cast. Another little hint is keep your back cast slightly higher than your forward cast. That way you're casting downhill. What that does, that allows gravity to work with you. You're not having to work at it any harder. Because if you're coming forward and you're pushing up, you're making the cast have to climb, and that takes away energy, speed, and distance. You just make the back cast, stop, push forward, make the forward cast. And wherever you point that rod is pretty much where, if you have a straight line back, guess what? You're gonna have a straight line forward. So a straight back cast will make a straight forward cast. And you can become very, very accurate with a fly rod. Looking right at a target, just trust your instincts that that's where it's gonna go. Because if it's a straight line back, guess what? It's gonna make a straight line forward and it'll hit right on that target. So practice with it, let the rod do the work, get your timing down, don't horse whip it. You know, it's a very pleasurable thing to do when you do a nice, and there's a fish, look at there. So when you see the, see I can put that fly right in that strike zone, and wouldn't that be nice? But anyway, back cast, pause, stop, push forward, and the forward cast will stop, and you will make some good fly casts. There he is, look here guys. Look here, look here. Thank you, good Lord. Well, sweet, thank you.
Bad Boy Mowers' Mallory Lindsay keeps us up to date on all things hiking. Here is another one of her tips to help us enjoy the trails of Arkansas.
Being able to view wildlife can really enhance your hiking experience. So here are a few of my favorite wildlife viewing tips. Tip 1, know when to look. While some animals are active throughout the day, most animals are active either early morning or later in the afternoon. So the perfect time to view wildlife is during the golden hours, which is right before sunrise and right after sunset. Tip 2, dress for success. Bright colors are warning signs in nature, so dress in neutral colors that blend in with your environment. Tip 3, pay attention to your transition zones. And these are where the edges of one habitat meets another. For instance, a meadow and a forest. These are great areas for wildlife to stay so they can get food and also protection.
When we come back, we'll speak to another legislator who is doing a lot to help keep Arkansas's outdoors great.
Arkansas's Great Outdoors is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers. Mow with an attitude. By Vexus Boats. By Visit Hot Springs, America's first resort. And by Certified Arkansas Bait Fish, the safe bait.
More times than I can count, you'll talk to someone that spent some time in the water on one of our aluminum boats that come out and say, if I was blindfolded, I would tell you that that was a fiberglass boat.
It's a boat that's going to surprise the heck out of you.
It's just a smooth ride overall. You can't tell the difference between a fiberglass and an aluminum.
Just a beautiful boat. It stands out above all the rest because of the designs that we put into it, the little intricacies that go into the boat.
It definitely has more of a look of a fiberglass than any other aluminums that I've seen out there.
The boat's very responsive. It doesn't crawl. It literally jumps on plane.
The whole shot is in a class of its own.
They're just amazed that that's an aluminum product because it doesn't look like one. It's way more advanced than any aluminum boat that people are used to seeing out there.
There's not another aluminum boat out there that you can compare it to because it's got a wide deck. It's very stable up front. You're not going to get the rock from side to side. The cockpit's got ample space. The rear dry storage boxes have plenty of room for your gear. The rod boxes are big.
And that's all built on a pad performance hull. You know, I think that to me speaks volumes about our commitment to innovation inside the aluminum segment.
The way the bottom's designed, you can get into less than a foot of water with your trolling motor, and about 1.5 feet of water get out of the hole if you need to.
The sound, the feel, the ride is
glass boat quality.
They're foam filled. That's going to make these boats quieter. It's going to make them more stable, and it's going to make them ride good in rough water.
It rides just like they advertise it.
Unbelievable boat. It's hard to believe it's an aluminum boat.
And that's really what our goal is with this product, is give the customer something that they can be really proud of in an aluminum boat.
Very, very steady. Great boat. Great product.
It's just a beautiful boat sitting on the water.
So when you look at fishability as a package, the AVX is the total package.
We thank all of our friends at Vexus Boats for all they do for Arkansas's great outdoors. Now, joining me right now is Representative Jeff Wardlaw. Jeff and I served together on the Outdoor Sportsman's Caucus. Jeff, you're the chair of that committee. I think a lot of our viewers might be interested to know about what our Arkansas legislators do to help Arkansas's outdoors.
Absolutely. Well, the Sportsman Caucus finds it very important to pay attention to all the bills and how they affect our outdoors and how they affect our hunters and fishermen. So we look at every bill. We look at puppy mill bills, we look at fishing bills, we look at all those things to make sure that they don't adversely affect our population. To make sure that it continuous conservation, we don't want preservation, we want conservation. So we want to make sure that we preserve that and that we make sure that everybody has the right to hunt and fish in Arkansas.
And the great thing also is these legislators, we get together with legislators from all over the country and kind of see best practices.
That's right. Carlton and I also go to the national conferences every year, and I serve on the executive council of the national conference, and we do it on a national level. So a lot of times what goes on in Delaware finds its way to Arkansas at some point. So it's very interesting to see how those bills affected Delaware and how they affect New Jersey and the different states in the union. We got members on the EC all the way out in Washington State, from Delaware down to Alabama. The neat thing is, in the South, we have Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Mississippi all on the EC. So we're very strongly represented in the national level right here in South Central U.S.
And this guy right here is a great ambassador for Arkansas's outdoors, because every time legislators visit from around the country, they all go duck hunting with him, they go fishing with him. You take them all out and show them a good Arkansas experience.
We do, and they do the same thing when we go to their states. But you know, it's important that we build that camaraderie, so that a couple years ago I was in Governor Hutchinson's office, and he asked about unemployment, how it's affecting other states. I pulled my phone out, we called 3 states in 5 minutes, and we got the rundown. And the rundown was on unemployment, that they were having exactly the same issues we were. But the Sportsman Caucus gave us that relationship to be able to do that. And folks don't realize it, but hunting and fishing goes a lot deeper than just killing something or catching something. It's a deep connection you get with those people, and it's a bond that goes forever.
That's great. And you and I have been talking about doing a crappie show. We're going to get Representative Wardlaw. We're going down to South Arkansas catching some crappie.
Yeah, we got to go to Lake Early. We got to catch some of those big ones.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us
today,
today,
man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, let's take one more look at the White River and Cotter and chat with a friend of ours who was on Arkansas's Great Outdoors last year. His name is Caleb Bailey. He talks about a rare treasure a friend of his, Zach Rory, found on the riverbank. Dwayne Hayda's got a really neat tradition, and it involves what we call the holy rock. When you're out fishing and you see a rock that's got a hole in it, there's a holy rock. Tell us a little bit about this, what this means.
Yeah, so Dwayne has always been a big for going out and finding these things. They're kind of unique to the Ozarks, found right here in the limestone hills. They're old crinoid fossils that have fossilized over years, and kind of that round part of it is made of rock with a hole in it. So we call them holy rocks. And in CTO, he's kind of given his own contribution. Right here we have our own, for if you will, an Arkansas-shaped holy rock. And in CTO, we often wear necklaces with things like deer ring antlers and turkey spurs that you got from your own turkey and things like that. Well, in Arkansas, we've introduced our own holy rocks, if you will, to hang on these necklaces. I wish I brought mine today, but I have a big one that has lots of holy rocks, deer ring antlers, and things like that. And the holy rock is just kind of something that symbols our region, something that's really unique to Arkansas, maybe East Southern Missouri, but you can only really find it around here, and something we always love finding and going out while fishing.
And Caleb found a holy rock for me that day, kind of a special day on the water. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We learned a lot from a master angler and a master artist, Dwayne Hayda. We also got a chance to talk with some of our legislators who love the outdoors just like you do. So be sure and tune in each week, and in the meantime, get out and enjoy Arkansas's great outdoors.